in a official debate about this because to me, it's too obvious. That'll be like me, to me now, that'll be like me debating if Santa Claus is real or not. We know he real. Ain't no, I mean, no, he false. Y'all excuse me. We know he false. We ain't got to worry about that. But what's happening is you having a lot of groups that's coming up now, and they are coming against what we believe, and especially a lot of the Christian groups that's coming up now and trying to debate this issue overall. And we're going to give you because I know the number one thing that you will hear from people is, why is this important? What does this have to do with Christ? I'm a new creature. I don't need no identity. My identity is in Jesus. You hear all those type of things. Or you'll get them saying, well, that's that black stuff. That's that black theology. That's hate and racism. Now, the funny part about that, it was never hate and racism when the Jewish people were saying that they was the people. It was never hate and racism when this country set up a system based off of skin color. It was never racist then. When they colored all the little coloring books he had, the Israelites, Moses, Jesus, all looking white, all this type of stuff. We didn't do that. It was never racist then. But then when we bring out the truth, then y'all going into black theology, y'all pushing blackness. And some of the people, because of what some of the camps are doing, like I said, I have nothing in a sense against camps because I learned some things from some camps. It's just sometimes they just go too far. They say too much, and some of them teach from a hatred perspective, and they try to identify everybody with that. So it's another group that came out now called themselves, I don't even know what they call themselves, but they did a video breakdown on Deuteronomy 28 from the Christian perspective, and for an unlearned person, it'll be good. But for a person that's pretty studied, it's easy kind of to debunk their premise. Right? So what we're going to do now, let's go over some of the things that we have been talking about. What did the Messiah, Yahusha, what did he come teaching and preaching? Go ahead, Mother. The kingdom. Let's get Mother on the mic. He came preaching and teaching what?
The kingdom.
Did he teach and preach himself?
No.
He teached and preached what? Again?
The kingdom.
All right. What did he say about himself? What's some of the things that he said about himself? As reference to the kingdom. Come on, that shall pop up in our head.
He said,
I am the way. I am the who?
The truth.
And what?
The life.
So he said, I am the way into the kingdom. I'm the truth of the kingdom. And I'm the life of the kingdom. But he went about, and his main core message that we learned last week was the message of the kingdom. Now, who can give me a difference between the gospel of the kingdom and the gospel of Christ? Who can give me a difference on that? Or what they think the difference? The gospel of the kingdom and the gospel of Christ. We'll get her the microphone. Because we kind of already just said it.
The gospel of Christ is when we teach about Christ and his beliefs, and we leave out the fact that the main goal is to get to the kingdom. Kingdom teaching it shows you the way that we're supposed to get there. And with kingdom teaching, we understand the Messiah is his role. It's like what we just said, that he's the way, he's the doorway to the kingdom. We see that as an example, in a sense, and how we're supposed to live, how we're supposed to get there. He's the answer to getting there, but he's not. He's the key, rather, to getting there, but he's not the answer. The kingdom is the answer.
So that's the main thing to kind of piggyback on, well, not piggyback, but to kind of go along with what she was saying, that the kingdom is the life, and what we started off with the kingdom being. The kingdom always. Oh, go ahead. You had a question.
Just to round it out, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and no man.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Get the microphone. Get the microphone. Go ahead.
And no man cometh into the Father but by me. So the kingdom is the kingdom of Yah, the kingdom of God. So he's one and the same, but it is through him that we receive the
Perfect.
Father.
Perfect.
So we need to always remember that he was the atonement. He was the perfect our salvation to get us back to Yah, to get us back to perfect harmony.
That's right.
With the Father.
That's right. That's perfect. Make sure that mic was on. That's perfect. So both of the sisters just kind of rounded that out because Christ is definitely that. Y'all sure he's the initiation into the kingdom because it went on. It went on. That's okay. It was the initiation into the kingdom because the thing you got to look at what hell when the Israelites messed up and they had a priesthood in the first covenant. They had a priesthood in the first covenant, right? So the Most High set up a system that would keep them in connection with the Most High. What is that system that kept them in connection with the Most High when they would break the laws and commandments? What system was set up? Sacrifices. So everything dealing with sacrifice kept them in alignment. When you messed up, you had a sacrifice that will put you right back alignment with the Creator. So that's the same thing that the Messiah fulfilled, that part of the law. Everything that kept you in connection when you got out of connection, he came and fulfilled all those things to be your connection with the Most High. So he's the connection, he's the initiation. You ain't getting into the kingdom not by him. But we know that a kingdom deals with a king, it deals with a people, it deals with territory, and it deals with laws. So when he came preaching the kingdom, he came preaching the king of the kingdom. He came preaching the laws of the kingdom. He came preaching what? The ruling class.
That's right. That's right.
Every kingdom has what? A what?
Ruling class.
So he was talking to the people that was going to be the what?
The rulers.
The rulers of the kingdom and the territory. So every prophecy that's in the scriptures is predicated upon the kingdom. Let's say that again. Every prophecy is predicated upon the kingdom. The king, the people, the land, the laws. All the prophecies are headed towards those things. So it's important to understand the message of the kingdom, what it's about. I advise you to go back there and listen to that so you can get a full understanding and have a full understanding of what is salvation in a Hebrew mind. That's a question. We went over that. What's salvation in a Hebrew mind? And what's a good scripture that details it? I give you a hint. It's in the Gospels. Off the top of your head, what you think the salvation in the Hebrew mind is?
In the Hebrew mind, salvation is. In the Hebrew mind, salvation is us being back into rulership.
There you go.
As the head.
So when Paul said in Romans 11, when he said the fall of them brought salvation to the world, what was he saying? Because to provoke them to jealousy. Now, again, would I get jealous about another person being reawakening, being born again, getting the presence and the spirit of the Most High through the Son? Would I get jealous of that? So we know it wasn't intentionally talking about the spiritual awakening, the born again experience, when it's talking about salvation right there. So again, what is salvation in the mind of a Hebrew? Say it again.
It is us being back into our position of rulership.
Position of rulership. So through the Hebrews' fall, rulership came to what? The other Gentile nations. So what did they have? They above only and not beneath. Right? They the head, which is what? They make all the decisions for everybody else. The tail just following along. Who the tail? The head is the ones that's ruling. Then you got all kind of nations that's in the body of the head. Then you go down to the tail. We the tail, right? So we understand that. Now that would provoke us to jealousy, because if we knew, if we never did lose our identity, lose our understanding, lose any of those things, we wouldn't know what it is to be an Israelite. We really wouldn't call what we're doing here in America progression.
Right.
You know, we got to work hard to get a used car.
That's right.
In Israel, we had the best chariots, horses. People tribute their best horses and gave them to us. We was used to being during David and Solomon reigned, the head of all the earth. We had the most wisdom, the most everything. So that would do what? Provoke us to jealousy when another nation had what we were supposed to walk in. Not only did they have the rulership, but now they also stole the riches and the spiritual system. They perverted it and gave us what they perverted. But they took the spiritual system, they took the understanding, everything about health, all those type of things. Why did? Because when Most High, when he chose Israel, he gave them everything that pertained to life. So they knew how to eat. They knew how to look at your body and tell when illness is there, or they knew when the spirit was attacking them. Because when you know you're doing everything right, health-wise, you know what's a spiritual attack or what I'm doing to inflict my own body. I can't tell that right now. I got some work to do. You see what I'm saying? So we put more of our emphasis over here. We put more of our emphasis on divine healing rather than divine health. Because we want to just get hands laid on us and boom, everything be gone. And we going right back to the stuff, that bad stuff we putting in our body. You had your hand up, go ahead.
Well, something that I noticed in the word was when Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh, he said, "Let my people go so that they may serve God." And that was something that was profound to me because I know this story my whole life. But so when we think about freedom, we think about, all of the blessings and everything that comes along with it. But it was initially so that we can go back to serving God.
All right.
We don't think about salvation in that way. We don't think about freedom from the world so that we can freely serve God. Everything that comes with that will free us up. Right. From the world.
Exactly. And that's salvation. We're finna read the scripture in Luke. Go everybody turn to Luke chapter 1. We're gonna start at verse 69 because it gives you what salvation is into a Hebrew mind. Right? Now, the Messiah, he brought when we talked about Romans 11 and what salvation is, he brought, and we found out that salvation was also rest, and we're going to read it here. But the Messiah brought a spiritual rest. He said, "Come to me that all that are laden and heavy burden, I do what? I give you what? A spiritual rest. Because you can't get the natural rest without the spiritual rest. Most High ain't going to have you in this kingdom acting crazy. So he had to initiate his son to give you a spiritual awakening, a born again, all over experience to teach you the way to live as a son of God, as a son of Yah, rather than just living based off you being an Israelite. It's like I say all the time, when I really realized what being an Israelite was, that changed my perspective. It ain't nothing just saying, "Ooh, I'm Israelite. Ooh, I'm better than you. We are the chosen." No, that's a high responsibility. That means you should be the example or total example of what a man's supposed to be following y'all. You should be the total example of what a woman's supposed to be. The mindset of a man and of a woman should be here. So everything that you do now have to be based on your legacy and you being chosen to walk these things out. So because what? The greater condemnation will come upon you because you are the chosen seed and lineage. So when you make a mistake, it's going to be greater consequences than everybody else. You know, go to Romans chapter 2. No, Romans chapter 1 and see that. But let's look at Luke real quick. Luke chapter 1. Start at verse 69. It says, somebody read that for me.
Luke chapter 1, verse 69. and has raised up a horn of salvation, or Yeshua, in this one, for us in the house of his servant David.
All right, keep going.
As he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began.
Now that's important. Start right there. It says, as he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So it's important to stay aligned with what the prophets are saying, because they were the mouthpiece of the Creator. So if therefore, and you look at, I'm doing a stamp mark here. You look at every prophecy that every prophet prophesied about. Who is it about? Israel. So one reason to know that this message is important, because every prophecy is about the nation of Israel. You see what I'm saying? So it's important, like the Messiah said, I didn't come away to do away with the law or what? The prophets, but I came to fulfill them. You know, he said he came to fulfill them. So you cannot do away with it. They have to be fulfilled. And what that meant by fulfilling, it means he came to give it its full purpose and full meaning, or its initiation, that you can receive the promises. I'm going to say that again. When he say fulfill them, that doesn't mean he was doing away with it, but he was doing the initiation process, so every promise that the prophets say you can experience when the kingdom comes. All right, and we're going to deal with that in a minute. Keep going, verse 71.
That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us.
That we should be what?
Saved
From our
enemies. And from the hand of all that hate us.
So we've been saved from our enemies to do something. So in deliverance, you're getting delivered from something to go to something. All right? So even in your spiritual life, you might have stuff you're struggling with. But if you get delivered from it, you got to go to something. You're not just getting delivered to stay right there. Because like the scripture say, if an unclean spirit be cast away out of you, and you don't fill the house, 7 more coming. That's worse than before. Because why? They got delivered from something, but didn't go to something. All right, keep going. 71.
71 again? That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant.
So we getting saved. Salvation is to be saved from our enemies and everybody that hate us. Why would, in the Hebrew mind, why would that be salvation? Or the natural rest that it's talking about?
So they can serve the Most High.
Why would being saved from our enemies and all those that hate us be salvation in a Hebraic mind?
Because they could freely serve the Most High.
They can freely serve the Most High, but I'm looking for something else. Make sure the mic is on. So they can freely serve the Most High, but what is known of Israel when they break the covenant? Captivities. That's name of captivities. Assyrian captivity, Babylon captivity, Persian captivity, Greek captivity, Roman captivity, and then Arabic and then Rome's captivity. So all their lives or their generations, they've been known by what? Slavery. So to be delivered from them that hate us, to perform those mercies, would be salvation. Let's keep going. Verse 73.
Verse 73.
It ain't on.
It's red, but it's not on. Oh, there it is. Okay. The oath which he swore unto our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear.
You see that? Ain't that what you were just saying? Verse 7, that he will grant us to be delivered from the hand of our enemies, to do what? To serve him without fear. So that's one. Can we serve him without fear now?
No.
We try to honor the Sabbath. People like, what you doing on the Sabbath? What am I honor no Sabbath? You know, you try to follow the feast days. Well, you supposed to be over here. We do Christmas over here right there. Shalom. Hello. Shalom me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's always something hindering us here. let you know that we're not in our salvation yet. All right? Keep reading.
75. In holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life.
That's it. So mark that scripture down. There's many more. Go back and look at the video that we did on salvation in the Hebrew mind in Romans 11. And it'll give you full understanding of salvation and what that means, what that's happening. But that's a good place to mark to let you see what they understanding or what they thought about when he said the kingdom and what they thought about when he said salvation. All right? So now we're going back into the importance of why it's important to identify Israel. All right, this is something that I ain't finished. I'm supposed to be had this ready by this weekend, but it's all good. Number one, the reason it's important to identify Israel, because the scriptures does. From Genesis, from Abraham, all the way through Malachi, deals with what? The Most High is dealing with who?
Israel.
All right. So we see that almost 85 to 90% of the Bible is talking to who?
Israel.
So why would I start a movie off with the original characters, stop the movie in the middle, and give you completely new characters in there that got a whole different plot and a whole different story? Would that movie make sense? So you would have to see what the ending or the conclusion of a thing. I can't get to the New Testament and be like, well, Israel don't matter no more.
Right.
When the whole first part of the book talking about them. Let's keep going. The Gospels is talking about who? Was the Messiah Israelite?
Yes, it was.
Was his disciples an Israelite?
Oh,
So why wouldn't I identify them if he said in his mission that he was only sent to who?
to that house.
Why did he say that? Now you might have some people say, well, wait a minute, you know he was for everybody, which is in a sense true. But why did he say, I'm only sent, or deliverance is the children bread? I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Why would he say that? That's with who the covenant was with. All right, but what if somebody say, well, God made a covenant with Adam, and all of us was in Adam?
But
What would we say?
he said that he has only dealt with the nation of Israel out of all the other nations. Out of all the nations.
So that only dealt. You can go to Psalms 147 and you'll see that, and Amos, I think it's 3. You'll see that he only dealt with them. When he says only dealt with them, because we see it seems like he dealt with Nebuchadnezzar. But what does dealt mean, or intimacy mean? Israel is the only people that he cut a covenant with as a nation, and gave what? His mind to that nation, which brought intimacy between the Creator and his people. Nobody else, no other nation of people ever received the mind and the heart of the Creator. Now, he might have dealt with different people, but intimacy-wise, nobody else has his laws, his judgment, and his commandments. And his way to keep him happy with you. Right? So we see even when the New Testament deals with the Gospels. The Gospels talk about Israel. The book of Acts is what? The history of who? The early church. Now, is there a difference between the church and Israel?
No.
Why you say that?
The church is Israel.
Thank you.
Because Christ came to fulfill the law, the book of Acts is sort of like when it all sort of came together, trying to reconcile the new and the renewed covenant per se.
Exactly. So she said that the church is Israel because the church started off with the 12 who?
12 tribes.
Not just 12 tribes, but the 12 who? Apostles. All the apostles was who?
Israelites.
So you will begin to see, and we'll show you that the Most High always take a people out of a people. We'll deal with that in a minute. So you got all of the beginning of the old books of the Bible. You got Gospels and the book of Acts talking about Israel. Now you got the book of Romans. Paul talked about Israel all through the book of Romans. You got the book of James, starting off talking about the 12 tribes. You got the book of Hebrews, talking about the Israelites. You got the book of Corinthians, and Corinthians 10, that he was addressing to Israelites. You got the book of Revelation, that gives you the conclusion of Israel. So if 90% of the Bible is talking about Israel, why wouldn't I speak on it? Why would I say what God or the Yah or the Creator said and his prophets is not important? See, what we got to do, I tell people, you got to be very careful what you speak on and speak against. Because you could be talking against the Creator based off because you don't like somebody that's presenting it. Or even the message that we might get tired of. It's important because even studying this, I got a little weary on some of that stuff. But then when I looked at and you see the stuff happening before your eyes, you be like, oh my goodness, this stuff is happening. So why wouldn't I identify Israel if all through the scriptures is identified? All right? Now let's look at what the Most High said. Isaiah 66 and 22. It says, you can look up on the screen if you need to. It says, now this is an end time prophecy. For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, said the Most High, so shall your seed and your name remain. Why did he say your seed?
They have generations.
They will have generations. He didn't say through Isaiah that so shall you remain among me. He said your seed. So it don't matter how many scattering. He said I'm going to mix them among all people. But he said, I'm the creator. I'm going to be able to identify who they are. And this is why I stand on everybody that came in them slave ships was Israel. Now, that's a serious statement. They might not have been Israel by faith, but they was Israel because they came into covenant. Why? Because the Most High would be unrighteous to punish a people that he never came in covenant with. Why would he whoop somebody that he didn't come into? I'm not finna whoop the person. Say I take my children to the grocery store. I don't do that. My wife usually do that. But just say, okay, let's say she take them to the grocery store. Shouldn't act crazy in there. They running around, knocking down all the boxes, knocking down, opening up bags of chips and eating. Now, say another little boy seen them and he got to doing it with him. Who you think my wife gonna whoop? Her kids. Why? Her children. Why? Because they hers. And why? They came out of her. They was birthed out of her. Will she whoop this other little boy? Why? She might get on him, but she not going to spank him. Only way she would spank him is she became what? The leading guardian of him. So what that means, he came into covenant with my family. So everybody might not be blood Israelites that came on that ship. But they did what? Take hold to the covenant. See what I'm saying? Because there was so many mixture. We're missing with them Hamites all the way through. Africa. That's why I don't understand how people cannot embrace Africa. You got to be out your mind. Just about most of our patriarchs was dealing with the African women or the Hamitic women. So, well, guess what? You got Hamitic blood in you. Jeremiah 31, 35 through 37. That's why I embrace some of the stuff. All right, Jeremiah 31, 35 through 37. Thus says the Most High, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon or the stars for a light by night, which divided the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Most High host is his name. Watch this. If these ordinances depart from me, before me, then the seed, he keeps saying, the seed of Israel shall cease to be a nation before me. So we are still a nation to him. The seed. So don't we still see the sun? At nighttime, we can see the moon, unless it's a dark moon. Verse 37, thus says the Most High, if heaven above can be measured and the foundation of the earth can be searched out beneath, I will also cast off the seed of Israel for all that they have done. So that's a powerful scripture. If the heaven can be measured, can we measure the galaxy up until this day? We ain't got no technology that can measure the galaxy, tell you where it started and where it ended at. Right? And that's for a reason. And the foundations, the deepest part of the earth, which is even going into the ocean, we can't go down there. We ain't got no technology that can go to the deepest part of the ocean. That's for a reason. Because that's a sign and seal to let you know, I ain't going to let y'all be able to find that out, because I already declared if you can find that out, then Israel ain't no nation before me. So that's why they ain't going to be able to have no technology to go to the deepest part of the ocean. Or measure the galaxy. Because I don't want nothing not to confirm who that seed is. Am I talking crazy? Ain't he awesome? Ain't he about his people? He about he about the other strangers and nations that gather also too. We'll look at that. But he has a covenant with his people. And this is why the Messiah said, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel. Why? Because like the sister said, they are the only ones that came in the covenant, that broke the covenant and messed up the covenant. So I got to come deal with them first. Because judgment began first where? At their house. Right? All right, let's look at Matthew. Somebody had a hand raised?
That just made me think of like if you're in a marriage covenant with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There may be others, but if there's a break in that covenant, you are hurt by what your spouse did to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You ain't going to be mad at all men. You'll be mad. But what I'm saying, you're not going to take it out on every man. Now, some of us might get mad at mankind, but you ain't going to go to animal kind because what the one man did to you. And hopefully none of us going to go to the same kind. You see what I'm saying? All right, so let's look at Matthew chapter 5. Oh, we already talked about that. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets, but I came not to destroy them, but to fulfill them. So it's important to see that he said, for verily I say unto you, to heaven and earth pass away, one jot and one tittle shall in no way pass under the law, to all be fulfilled. So the Messiah came to fulfill it in the sense of being that initiation, that through him you can get all these promises that was promised by the prophets. Right? Because we know initially, and in John 12:48, the Messiah said, I'm going to paraphrase it, that he don't do nothing unless his Father said. He don't speak on his own accord. He only speak of what his Father says. So he did not come to destroy his Father's law. That makes sense. All right, so Deuteronomy 7 and 6, let's just look at a few of these to show that he chose these people. Because if he chose them, then he's still dealing with them. This is the importance. Deuteronomy 7 and 6, it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Most High. Yah has chosen thee to be what?
A special people.
A special people to the world?
Unto themselves.
Some of us got some clothes in the closet that's just special to us. Anybody know me? I find something that I like, I'm going to wear it a couple times. You're going to see it. you might see it. One time a week, you might see it. Because what? That clothing is special to me. So this is why, of all the people he chose, and then we'll get into later on why out of all the nations he chose Israel. Special people unto himself. And it says, now this is him saying this. This ain't me. He chose them to be special above all people that are on the face on the earth. Now, why would he need to put that in the scriptures knowing that that's going to get down to you? Why do you need to know you special? Say it again. Everybody says you not. He knew through your captivities, these people, the mindset of these oppressors was going to make you feel less than an animal, a dog, nothing. So he hid these things in his scriptures to speak to you in our time to let you know, no, you're not what your oppressors say. You special above all people. I want to get your confidence level up to let you know that you're not a nigger, a Negro, or a slave. You special to the Creator. That making sense? Amos 3:1-2. Hear this word to the Most High spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family. I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known out of all the families of the earth. So why would I deal with you? Even I already prophesied that there was going to be a seed that was going to stay before me. Why would I deal with you? And then when the New Testament, when my son come, I stop dealing with you, period. It's not important for the prophecies what I spoke out of my mouth to my prophets to be fulfilled. If I don't fulfill what I said to these people, I'm not going to bless you as no Gentile because you can't trust me. I'll say that again. If I don't fulfill what I said about these people, if I just beat them and don't give them the promises, then I'm a lie to myself, and you as a Gentile can't even trust me if you think it's done away with. That making sense? Verse 147, 19-20 say, he showeth his word unto who? Jacob. His statute and his judgment unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any other nation, and for his judgments they have not known them. That's an important verse to keep in your arsenal. To let you see this is why the covenant with Israel is most important, because he gave his mind to Israel as a nation. I like Deuteronomy 32, 9-10. It says, for the Most High's portion, his portion. You know how you have food portions or plate portions? He said, of all the nations, my portion is my people. Jacob is the lot of my inheritance. So we are his inheritance. So why would he throw away his inheritance completely and not deal with them no more? And therefore, they're not being important to identify in prophecy. That making sense? I'm finna wrap up in a little bit. All right. Now let's look at the covenants in the Bible. We got the Adamic covenant, the Noahic covenant, the Abraham covenant, the Mosaic covenant, the regathering the land covenant, the Davidic covenant, and the new covenant. You see, what is this? 7 covenants? 7 covenants, and 5 of those covenants is dealing with Israel. So how is identifying Israel not important when 5 of the prophetic covenants that all haven't came to pass yet is dealing with them? You cut off everything when you stop looking at Israel. And that's what we did. We've been taught to stop looking at Israel as an end time place to see what God is doing and to start looking at the other nations where then people can tell us what's going to happen in the end time. Now we can have all these crazy, foolish doctrines that don't make no sense with the Bible, but because they got a PhD behind their name, we going with it. But if you take your eyes off the people, you can never know what the Most High is doing in the earth at that time. Go ahead, sis.
So when we were praying, when we thought we were Gentiles, I said when I thought I was a Gentile, and I was praying for those people in Israel, was I praying for myself or for my people? Because
that's powerful.
When
you think about that, like I said, the scripture says, I think it's in Romans 8, that we don't even know what we should pray or know how to pray. So the Spirit made groanings and utterance. Right. So he could be using them prayers as going to who we think they're going to. That's why your mind is unfruitful sometime in prayer. Because you can think you're going to the right people, but the Spirit say, no, I know who Israel is. Right. So I'm going to have you pray for the people what you're praying for yourself. That's that's very powerful right there. So that's powerful. All right. So we can understand, and all of us know this. I ain't got to go over all these scriptures here. Oh, I ain't got out of there. But all of us understand that through these covenants, that the Most High made a covenant with the nation of Israel. Now let's look at this real quick. So we talked about covenants before. That what's in a covenant? You got it's conditional, unconditional. You got another word that begin with a P. Promises. Another word again begin with a P. Prophecies. And you got blessings or curses. Right? So we see in Adam, God made a covenant with him and everybody that was inside of Adam. Right? So Adam broke that covenant, and what curses came upon who? Everybody that was inside of Adam, all of mankind. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right. So then we go to Noah's covenant, and God made a covenant with Noah and everybody that was inside of Noah. So the rainbow, we still see the rainbow is still here, right? So that's the sign of that covenant still going. The blessings and the curses, have it stopped since the Messiah came and died? Do all women still having those that have a baby? Did it still hurt? Men, are we still working for everything? Is the ground still messed up with thorns and all that type of stuff? So we see those curses are still here. All right, so we got the Abraham covenant. Now we went to the Mosaic covenant. The Mosaic covenant, but the Abraham covenant was everybody that was inside of Abraham, right? The covenant he made with Abraham was everybody that was inside of him. That passed down to Isaac and then Jacob. And then the 12 tribes of Israel. He made the Mosaic covenant, everybody that was inside the Mosaic covenant. The Abraham covenant was not, that covenant was not conditional. He said that I'm going to bless you, I'm going to make you the father of many nations, I'm just going to do this for you. But the Mosaic covenant was everybody that was inside of who? Israel. It said, I'm set before you a blessing and a curse. We see that the curse came. Even though the Messiah came and died, are those curses still happening? So us being free from the curse of the law didn't necessarily mean that it was going to stop in our time. What happened when the lamb was slain in Egypt? The lamb was slain in Egypt. Death passed over them. But because of the lamb was slain, did they receive the promise? Mm-mm. But the lamb being slain made a way for them to receive the promise. So they was the lamb slain, so they went towards the promised land, right? So the same thing with the Messiah here. The lamb is being slain, but it didn't stop all the curses. But it gave you a way and a promise to a future time to be able to get into the kingdom. Because when we receive the blood of the covenant, when we receive the Messiah, we receive the promises that the prophet said that we would have at a future time. That makes sense? All right? We almost done. So another reason that is important to identify Israel, because they broke their covenant. I say their covenant because that covenant that was with Israel was only to them. So this is why they are receiving the consequences of those covenants. So if I am a doctor and I see the signs and tell you, and I know you have AIDS, would I be a wicked doctor not to tell you about it? And I got the cure. And not to tell you why you got AIDS. Right? So if I can see the corruption of a nation and know why it happened and have the answer, why wouldn't I go tell that nation? Because this would bring them back into the right standing with the Creator and have them initiated to come out of those curses. So it's very important, not just to us, but the Creator. And this is why he sent the apostles out to all the nations. And this is why he sent everybody out. Because he wanted to give them the understanding of why these things are happening. So for me to not tell them is for me to not give them the cure to their major problem. And not give them their salvation, which can be their initiation back to the Father. You see what I'm saying? All right. So we see all the apostles talked about it. When the apostles first went out, when it says baptize all nations, where did they go? They first went to what the Messiah told them to first go to. Jerusalem. Why?
We were there.
Exactly. If it wasn't important, he would have told them to go in and everywhere. But he said start at Jerusalem, then go out. And then when you do the research of the map of the places they went, there was all places where Israelites were scattered at. Even Paul, his first journey was all places where Israel was scattered at. So we got the apostle just to skim through it. These are some of the scriptures that Paul talked about. Romans 1:16 says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it's the power of God unto salvation to every one that believe it. So most people stop right there. But what is the order of it?
To the Jew first.
To the Jew first, and then also to what? First Romans 2, let's read that real quick. For he rendered to every man according, boy, this is important to have right here. Romans 2:6. For he rendered to every man according to his works, justly as his deeds deserve. To those who patient, persistent, and well-doing, springing from power to seek, and unseen for sure glory and honor, immortality, he will give eternal life. But for to those that are self-seeking, self-willed, disobedient to the truth, but responsive to wickedness, he will give indignation. So if you're doing good, you're going to get blessings. If you're doing bad, you're going to get indignation and wrath. But watch the order of it. And there will be tribulation, anguish, and calamity and constraint for every soul of man that habitually does evil. What's the order? To the Jew first, or the Israelite first, then to the Gentile. And for those that are doing right, honor, pieces, and bless, he's going to have an order even in blessing you. He's going to bless the Israelite first, then he'll bless the Gentile. That makes sense? So this is why it's important to identify Israel. I ain't going to go over all the other scriptures. I love this one that we know that they broke the covenant and the curse, and we know about Deuteronomy chapter 30. You can read that, and it talks about how he's going to send for us, and where we were scattered, he's going to bring us back. But this is a major reason why it was important for him to gather Israel. Deuteronomy 32:26-33, he said, I would have annihilated or scattered them completely, wiping out even the memory of them from the earth. But watch this. But I feared that the tongue of Israel's enemy, who might misunderstand this and say, our own power has triumphed. And it had nothing to do, and the Lord said, they had nothing to do with this. But it was Israel, them being a senseless nation, a foolish nation without understanding. Oh, that they was wise and could understand this, and that they might know their fate. How could one person chase 1,000 of them, or two people put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them, unless their God had given them up? So that's a powerful scripture there to let you see. The Most High do not want Israel enemies saying that by their own hand. Because I had always wondered, if we were so smart, if we were so wise, if we was the kings of the earth, how could these other nations just come in and just take us and scatter us everywhere like a basketball? How could one little nation chase 2,000 or two chase 10,000? Unless something spiritual had to happen with them people, that they messed up, that they God did this to them. So that's why it's important, because you have some people that'll say, you know, and a sister gave me a video the other night that said that a pastor was saying that black people should be happy and thankful for slavery. Because if it weren't for slavery, we'll still be over there running around with bones in our neck and our nose. Then he went to Paul epistle, misunderstanding of Paul epistle, saying, if it wasn't supposed to be no slave, why is Paul sending this letter telling slaves how to be and telling masters how to be? So it's supposed to be slavery. Then you got people say, if y'all was so smart, if y'all was the kings, y'all talking about y'all kings, we smarter than y'all because we came in there and just stripped y'all of everything and sold y'all all over the earth. Y'all couldn't have been smarter than us. So y'all was dumb slaves the way that you are. We had to give you understanding and civilize you. So that's type of stuff that we got to know and we got to handle and we got to know how to deal with. I sent a rebuttal to it to let them understand exactly what was going on. What Paul was saying when he was talking about the servants and the master completely, and the Israel terminology and history to understand what that meant. But this is why it's important to identify Israel. Number one, it's important to identify Israel because the Most High said that their seed will forever remain before me. That the heavens, that the sun have to be done away with, and the moon have to be done away with if I'm going to quit dealing with them. Number two, the Bible All of the scriptures, 90% of the scripture deals with Israel. And you mean to tell me we don't have a conclusion to what he did with him? That makes no sense. Number 3, because he made a covenant with Israel. And he says, I'm the God that don't alter or break my covenants. I honor my covenants through thousands of generations of those that love me. So if he don't deal with Israel, he would not honor his covenant. He would break his own oath. He said, I ain't got nobody to swear by, so I swear by myself. You see what I'm saying? And then number 4, the Messiahs, all the apostles, their main focus was Israel. All the prophets prophesied about Israel. So why would this not be important? And if we are to be what they would term as Christians and follow and do as Christ did, why wouldn't we do as he did and speak as he spoke? So we see that. And then the last thing is Deuteronomy 32. The reason that's important to identify Israel, because he said, I don't want Israel enemies thinking that they got over and by their own hands. So I'm not going to deliver Israel for your sake. I'm going to deliver Israel for my what? Name's sake.
That's right.
So the Father ain't got no name if he don't come back and do what he said he's going to do for Israel. So these are the reasons that this message is extremely important. And this is the last end time message, period. I'll say that again. This is the last end time message. We supposed to deal with all kind of end time stuff, but never deal with this. Okay, so anybody got any questions, comments, or concerns? So we went over time a little bit. Everybody got a full understanding of that? Go ahead, sis.
Did you round out the Gentile explanation? Is it because we were mixed with the Gentiles that the message had to come to them as well?
You said that I round out the Gentile. Say it again.
You said earlier in the lesson, you said we're going to talk about why we said to the Jews first and then to the Gentiles, because we.
Oh yeah. Let's go real quick to Romans. I'll give you a quick verse on that. So they're able to use that and show exactly, not Romans, but Acts 15. Acts 15. Let's look at what he said. Because he has always had a plan to go back and get all of the sons of Adam from when Adam messed up. But his first plan was to take him out of nation, make that nation be that example, give that nation his mind. He didn't deliver Israel just to be about Israel. Because if that was the case, he would have killed everybody and just let Israel be his people.
Right.
But they was supposed to be the example. Because he didn't want the example for the whole world. He wanted the other nations to what? Give up their gods to receive him. Just like the Messiah says, anybody want to save his own life, it's not worthy of me. So you have to give up your life. He said, I didn't come to bring peace, but I came to bring a sword. I'm going to turn a mother against a father, a son, and a sister against that. So it's the same thing where the Creator wanted those other nations to give up their gods when they see the mighty power of him, just like he did of Egypt, and to bring these other nations back unto him through his kings and priests of the earth, which is Israel. You can't be kings and priests of you just yourselves. You see what I'm saying? He said, I'm going to make you a kingdom of kings and priests. If that was the case, he would have never allowed Israel to get scattered. They just would have preached themselves with the Levitical priesthood. But when he prophesied, I'm going to make you a kingdom of kings and priests, I want to make you a kingdom of kings and priests to bring all the world to me. See what I'm saying? Everybody ain't going to come, but I have taken out of every nation, even the Gentiles, of people unto myself. That's why it says, I think in Isaiah 56, that if the stranger take hold of the Sabbath, I'm going to give him an even greater name than some of the sons.
Okay.
So he was always about strangers coming to the covenant. Deuteronomy 29 talks about not only with you, but your hewer of the wood, your water gatherer. I want all of them coming into covenant with me. They ain't you, but they coming into covenant with me. You see what I'm saying? Who's to say we might not be descendants of some of the ones that were just hewers of the wood? They came in the covenant. Did they not?
So he said,
I want you too. If not, he would have said, you keep your hewers of the wood, your water boys, you keep them out. They can't come into this covenant. You see what I'm saying? Acts 15, let's sum it up with that. and verse, let me find wait. All right, here we go, verse 13. Acts 15 and 13. And after they had held their peace, James answered, saying, Men and brethren, hearken unto me. Verse 14. Simeon hath declared how God, watch this, at first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written. After this, the time we living in. Because he said that the Messiah said that Israel was going to be scattered until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. But he said, I went to the Gentiles to take out when my people fell, went to the Gentiles to take out of them a people of my name. And then he said, verse 15, and disagree the words of the prophets as it is written. After this, I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David. During David's time, all 12 tribes was together. So when it says tabernacle of David, that's talking about all the 12 tribes, which has fallen. This is to let us know that them Jewish people can't be the people because they ain't fallen. So I got to look for the people that has fallen. And I will build again their ruins thereof, and I will set them up, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, said the Lord, who doeth all these things. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we see right there that that's not dealing with Gentiles that got Israelites that got a Gentile state of mind either. Because he said, I'm going to return to the tabernacle of David. That's talking about all 12 tribes, whether you lost in your mind or not. I'm going to return to y'all. That's the difference between the tabernacle of David and Gentiles. Those are natural born Gentiles right there. So I chose Israel. Israel supposed to be my example. They failed. Then I allowed start dealing with some of the Gentiles to bring them in as I'm gathering my people also too. But then I'm going to turn around and make the focus be directly on them and build their walls up again and return them back to their fullness of the promises that I promised their fathers. That's why they say that we are the children of the promises. See what I'm saying? We are the children of the promises. But that is it. I hope we learned something today. Was it an edifying message?
Yes, it was.